Lee, how are you?
I'm good.
What's happening? What's going on in your world?
I'm sitting in my house in southwest France and completely relaxed and enjoying every moment of my life.
No stress going on?
Always a slight stress. You never know what's going to be happening.
What's your occupation?
Uh, I run the 1500 bed and breakfast boutique hotel experience in France, outside of Bordeaux.
I think bed and breakfast devalues what this place is.
Yeah, I think mostly. I think boutique experience sums it more up
Yeah,
as a better option.
it's a bit more special than a B&B. Where are you from?
I'm from Texas originally.
A
I
little
was born
small
and
town in the
raised
US?
no big city of San
Mammoth?
big city of San Antonio. So I was born there and lived there until I was around 16. And then my family and I moved to Europe, and I went to school in Europe for a bit, and then I moved back to the States when I went to university.
What was the journey that made you end up in Saussignac? I still can't say it.
Yeah, well, Saussignac.
Saussignac.
Um, well, it was interesting because after living in Europe and going back to the States, I always knew I wanted to go back to Europe, and it was just how does that work and how do we do that? And I ended up living in Dubai for several years.
Oh, we never
And
crossed paths.
can you imagine? And then I met my future husband, and it just so happened that he had part of what we have here now. Part of it was something that was already purchased, and we decided to come back here because I'd always wanted to be in Europe.
Where were you 10 years ago?
In Dubai, I was opening hotels. We were living in downtown, facing Burj Khalifa, enjoying a lovely life there. But at coming up to a crossroads of making a decision of where to go with the rest of our lives. It's like the joke in Dubai is like you leave Dubai when you're ready to grow up. It's kind of like Vegas. And so we decided to come back here, not work for anybody else, and work for ourselves, and to do this.
I think the the good side of Dubai is underrated, though.
Absolutely.
You know,
It was
there's so much more to Dubai than people think.
absolutely. There were people in the States that said, "Why would you move there? Are you living in a tent? Are you living in the desert? What's happening?" I'm like, okay, you're
Just
not getting it.
miseducation.
Yeah, miseducation. Um, I never met more interesting people than I did when I lived in Dubai for 4 years. And it was a brilliant place to be. The food options amazing, the shopping amazing, and I met at least 20 to 30 new people every single week, all that had different backgrounds, different lives, different ways of looking at life, which I found much more enjoyable than growing up in a city in Texas where everybody is in a box and you're
Yeah.
thinking of the same.
No, it's an amazing city. Where would you hope to be in 10 years' time?
10 years time, I'm 67.
No way.
Way.
The Nivea is working.
I think that we probably still have this place. Maybe it's still running as it does. Maybe we change and alter everything that we do every year just to accommodate our lifestyles and our lives. But hopefully a little bit more freedom to travel for vacations instead of work.
What is your greatest love?
Mike.
Oh, he's a good egg.
He is a good egg.
Yeah, he is. Uh, your greatest fear? Being interviewed.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what my greatest fear is. Probably heights at this point. The older I get, the less likely I like to be on bridges and on cliff edges. And I'm getting a bit more protective as I get older about what I go and do and try to keep out of trouble.
It's called common sense.
I've never had that before.
For some of us, it comes later than it should
This is
have.
interesting.
If you could spend a day with anyone living or dead, who would it be?
Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah, good shout.
Come on.
Yeah.
Charlie's Angels came out and I was 10 years old, and we didn't know it was stalking then, but
Yeah, but you did.
But I met her a couple of times. I thought she was very interesting. She was a nice girl from Texas. She was absolutely stunning and beautiful. And I don't think she had it. I mean, yeah, obviously she had the fame, but I think that parts of her life were probably
difficult. Yeah.
But definitely her. I've got a cardboard cutout of her in my office.
I saw.
And
iconic.
And mugs and a belt buckle.
Yeah.
But that's another story.
What's the best thing you ever stole? Apart from that cardboard cutout of Farrah Fawcett.
I didn't steal that.
I know. But it worked for the gag.
Best thing I ever stole. I don't know. One-liners from Friends that I reuse as my own jokes.
Oh, I hate Friends. What were you like as a kid?
Quiet, shy, very introverted. Didn't. I stayed within the confines of my grandparents' home. That's where I wanted to be. I didn't become an adult and get out in the world until I was probably late 20s. I liked the safety net of what my grandmother and my grandfather offered me. So that's where I stayed. Interested in things, interested in travel, but I was more interested in my grandmother's stories of the family and of her travels.
What was her name?
Elaine.
And she was from? Which area?
Was from Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And where in Texas was she?
She was in San Antonio.
Okay.
She met my grandfather. It was her second marriage and his second marriage after the war. And they lived in San Antonio. And because my parents were quite young when they had me, I had the benefit of having my grandmother for 17 years. Great-grandmother for 17 years, and my grandmother for much longer than that. So I got the wisdom and the experience and the one-liners that come with it.
Which we've heard.
Yes.
Who would play you in a movie?
Brad Pitt, obviously.
Oh, yeah, of course. Why did I even ask?
I mean, he and George just did a photo shoot just very much like mine.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on.
Yeah. It was a stupid question. I can't believe that
You kind of into it, so.
Your favorite destination?
Destination unknown. Don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Least favorite?
Probably the States. Don't let my mom see this.
Really? There's amazing
places
too big
in the States
to not like.
It's big. It's complicated to get around. I like the conveniences, but every time that we're looking at travel and going someplace, it's not, the States isn't coming into it.
That's sad.
I feel more international than I do American. Still, don't let my mom see this.
Sorry, future American president, whoever you will be. What makes you laugh, apart from that comment?
Silliness.
Well, this week's been a classic.
Week's been epic.
Have a day off.
I like to, when it's time for me to relax, and I either play tennis or I like to watch some nonsense on television that just takes me out of reality and puts me in another space. Most notably Schitt's Creek. Can't stop watching it.
Which I am now going to revisit.
Yeah,
because I didn't get it, but I only give it 30 minutes. What makes you cry?
I think the last time I cried was when my last dachshund died.
They were great.
That took me 4 years to get over. And I wouldn't say that I'm still over it at this point. Every time there's things that come up every once in a while, and I'm like, did I make the right decision? Did I not do this? I could have done that.
What was the last gift you gave someone,
Um,
apart from copious amounts of rosé?
Probably the last gift I gave someone was probably Mike. And I had a ring commissioned for him. There's a local jeweler that lives around here. And I have a really big, chunky silver ring that he's always liked. And so I worked with her for 8 months and we designed a ring for him. And I picked out a flawed sapphire, the same color as his eyes. And I told him it was the same color as his eyes, but it's a flawed personality like he was.
So there's always give and take.
Obviously.
Yeah, nice. Tea or coffee?
Neither.
Urban or rural?
Both.
Cats or dogs?
I would always say I was a dog person, but when living here, the neighbor had a cat that was absolutely the most delicious cat ever. She had a wonderful personality. So I don't know. If I could find another cat like her, I'd say both, but probably more dog.
We have many cats and we do free shipping. You know, we rescue cats, we can send some over.
No thanks.
Is this a verbal contract? Nod once for yes. Any regrets?
You know what? Because I was married before, I always thought, oh gosh, if I had not married that yahoo, I could have done this or done that. But I am going to say no, because if I hadn't made all the decisions in the past, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Being filmed. What's the closest you come to death?
I was held up at gunpoint a couple of times in the States.
Through your any fault of your own? Or?
No. It's never a fault of mine.
Of course.
No, I was working in a hotel when I was going into university, and I was robbed at gunpoint. And then once I was washing, I took my grandmother's car to a car wash, and someone came over and put a gun to my stomach and wanted money as well.
The good old US of A.
Yeah. Where guns are legal.
It's still an amazing place, you know.
It is an amazing place.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to slag it off at all, but it's just, I think there's other things. I love history, and Europe offers much more of that to me than the US does.
If you had a boat, what would it be called?
U-boat?
Oh, it's a boat. No. It's a boat.
I don't know. I'm not a boat person.
Yeah.
When I was younger, my aunt and uncle lived in California, and we'd always sail to Catalina Island.
Wow.
And they had a sailboat called Moonshine. And so if I were to revisit a boat, I remember those days and those paths with my cousins and my aunt and uncle.
Catalina's epic.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I would think Moonshine.
Moonshine.
Just because of the past.
Your message, words of wisdom, parting shot, final message.
Live your life, enjoy it, and don't do anything you don't want to do, because it could be your last night on earth.
Over. Lee, you're a star. Thanks.
Absolutely.
It's been a great week. Let's go and have a glass of wine.
Absolutely.
Yay. Cheers.
Cheers.